I'm David Titus. I'll just tell you a quick bit about myself. So I started out as a biologist. I have a PhD in molecular and cell biology, so I was loving the presentation this morning and really impressed. And I've had a full career in the biotech and drug discovery industry. But at the same time, when I was 20, I started having central vision loss, and it's continued slowly, but continued up to this day. And that has been a barrier throughout my professional life, and now that I'm retired from that career, it's still a challenge. So when I retired, I went back to school and got a master's in education, and decided to do vision rehabilitation teaching here. And I'm very pleased to be able to do that. As you might imagine, I had to come up with a lot of adaptive strategies along the way, and I didn't have the benefit of a place like the Carroll Center to really teach me. So I was picking things up, as Bob described, a little bit here, a little bit there.
Sorry, David, I'm having trouble finding it.
Oh, let's see.
Was it loaded on here?
I didn't load it on. I can talk it through, but if you, let's see. Yeah. Well, if it's not loaded on there, then we can just go without it. That's okay. I've got my notes on the iPhone here, so I'll walk you through it. Don't worry about it. So everything I say will be summarized in the handout that you can pick up at the table in the lobby. So you can take notes, but if you miss the name of something, it's probably in that handout. I want to talk a little bit about tools and strategies for helping you get information from the environment, and then again from your phone. So let's pick up where Bob left off. First of all, the phone, this is an iPhone actually, is the best tool available. It does just about everything. And aside from what you might have at your computer workstation at home, everything that I need, and I have central vision loss, like many Stargardt patients, a similar sort of profile of vision. Everything I need is in the pockets of this vest, which is why I'm wearing the vest, okay? I walk around with it, and this is what I need when I'm not at my desk. I have my phone, which does many things that we'll talk about. I have, here's some little Bluetooth head earbuds. So if I want to listen to something on my phone, I won't be heard by others. Here's a little digital recorder. So I can take notes on something. If I'm on the phone call, I want to make notes on a digital recorder, I just take a quick note and I don't lose it. If it's bright outside and I can't see my phone screen, right? Here's a little pocket magnifier. Okay, it has a tiny light, a little magnifier. It's not very big. It's good for spot reading. But if it's too bright to see my phone screen, it gets me out of a pinch. And finally, my favorite tool of all is this guy right here. It's 2 inches long and 1 inch across. It's a very powerful light, and it's always with me. And why do I carry a pocket light? Well, we'll get to that as we start thinking about the environment. So in an environment, many of us are situationally blind. You know, if the lighting is good, the contrast is good, we're fine. We have to just walk from here to the other side of the room, and it's not a problem. Maybe that's the case for you. But then you walk into a movie theater or a pub, and suddenly you're blind. You really wouldn't know if there was a step there, you're gonna hurt someone or yourself. It's a situational blindness, okay? Or if you sit down in front of a computer and the font is too small, again, you're blind, right? You can't, it's just a situation, really. Many people recover from dark adaptation in a minute or two, but maybe you're like me. It takes 20 minutes before I can see my way around the inside of a pub. So I alter my environment with a bright light. I'm gonna just turn it on and so you can see it's pretty bright. With this, I cast a shadow on the stairs, and suddenly the stairs have contrast. With this, I shine it at the sidewalk, and when there's a broken pavement or a root, suddenly it has a shadow. So I actively alter my environment so that it serves me, okay? So you have to think about the environment and situations and be the actor in making the world work for you. So now let's start with the phone, because the phone is the tool that we use all the time. I'll mention, mostly my comments are regarding the iPhone, but the Android phone in many cases has very similar functionality. The first thing I want to talk about is the magnifier app. You just turn on the magnifier app on your phone, and it allows you to use the camera on the back side of the phone to view something. And you can use what I call pinch zooming, where you take your two fingers, thumb and your forefinger, and spread them apart on the screen, and whatever you're looking at gets bigger on the screen. If you need to, you can hold the phone screen up to your nose and make the screen even bigger, as Bob pointed out with his glasses. And that works pretty well. You can even save an image on that if you want to save it for a few moments and then maybe capture a second image. But I don't use that very much because the phone's camera is even better. And I think many of you probably know this already, so I won't take a lot of time. But how many people, just a show of hands, use the phone's camera to just grab an image and then zoom in on it and pan around in the image? Does everyone use that? Yeah? Okay. That's a super handy tool, and it's because the cameras are such high quality these days that the phone will capture a very wide angle image. If you're in a restaurant with a menu on the back wall, usually the phone will capture the entire menu in one snapshot. Then you can zoom in, and you'll be amazed to see how crisp the text remains because of the high quality of the camera. And then you can control what part of the image you're looking at, and you can control how big or small it may be. Control is what it's all about, right? We are losing control as we lose eyesight. We want control back. And so at every point, I always ask myself the question, am I gaining control or losing it? Okay, so the phone has some other things you can do. In the settings, you can increase the contrast. You can increase the brightness if that helps you. You can invert colors. I like to invert colors and have a black background with the white letters. That reduces glare for me. You may find that true as well. You can also reduce transparency. That's another setting. And you can reduce unnecessary motion. Sometimes things swoop in or out, and you can make that stop just to make things simpler. And you can increase the font size, right? And I know a number of people increase the font size quite a bit. I am very cautious about that one, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But first of all, those are all things you can do to help your phone be more accessible. So, but as Bob also mentioned, you can also get your phone to speak to you. And I don't know if everyone knows about this, but if you go into settings, under accessibility, there's a place in the iPhone that says spoken content. If you open that up and turn on the buttons there, you'll have the opportunity to have a simple gesture, have the entire screen of the phone spoken to you. When speak screen is on, you just take two fingers, bring them to the top edge of the glass, and bring them down about halfway down the screen, and it says everything on the screen to you. Starts at the top, ends at the bottom. It's great, right? If you have your font size small, or for some reason you can't see because it's bright light outdoors, you can have the screen spoken to you. There's also something called a speech controller. That's a little floating button that appears on your screen when you've turned that one on. And if you touch that little, it's like a little V on its side, almost like a, I don't know, what would you call it? It's just like a little arrowhead. Touch that, and a little menu pops open. If you can see it, you can touch something that looks like the pointing finger of a hand. Okay, I'm holding my hand up with one finger pointing up. Looks like that. You touch that pointing hand and touch anywhere on the screen, and it speaks that. Just that one thing. So you don't have to listen to the whole screen. If instead I take my finger, touch a point on the screen, and slide down and to the right, I describe the two corners of a box, and everything in that box will then be spoken to me. Okay, so that's pretty cool. But I have to be able to see the screen to know where I want to point my finger. Or I have to listen to the entire screen in one long monologue. Those are my choices. But it's very handy, especially, as I said, in environments where the screen is hard to read, like outdoors in the bright light for many of us. Okay, so that's great, but let's get back to that font size thing. When you make the font big enough, and many people will make it so big that you only have maybe 3 or 4 letters of a word across the screen in any one view, then there's not very much information on the screen. As Bob pointed out, if you use a high power magnifier, then you don't have a very large amount of information at your fingertips. So when you do that, you're really hampering yourself rather than helping yourself. A better strategy is to keep the font size smaller, and I would suggest try to keep 4 to 7 words visible across the screen when the phone is in its vertical orientation. Then you'll have enough information on the screen that the screen speech will actually give you a significant amount of information. It may be, though, that you can't read those words, right? You can see that they're there, but you may not be able to read them. So there is the speaking option, and there's another one, which a number of people don't know about yet, which is the 3-finger zoom option. And it's not, in the iPhone, the 2 fingers where you spread your thumb and forefinger apart, that pinch zooming doesn't always work in every situation. So what you can do in every situation is to take 3 fingers, tap twice on the screen, and the second time you stick. So it's tap and stick. And then while your fingers are still on the screen, you slide up towards the top of the glass. And if you've turned on zooming in the accessibility options, then what happens is the screen zooms in, just like you were pinch zooming. And then you can take those same 3 fingers in a little cluster and slide left or slide right to move around the zoomed in image. And when you want to get back to the whole screen, just 3-finger tap, tap, and slide back down towards the bottom of the glass. And then you're back at the low mag. So that allows you to do the spot reading that Bob talked about, but not lose the information content present on the screen. Okay, so these are all ways that you can get information out of the phone screen. And now let's talk a little bit more about getting information out of the environment. Right? One of the things we want to do is not just read things on the screen. We want to read text on a paper, on a printed page. And there are 2 apps I want to talk about here. You've probably heard about these. Maybe you haven't tried them out yet, but I would encourage you to do them. The first is Seeing AI. That stands for Seeing Artificial Intelligence. It's a free app made by Microsoft. The second one is Be My Eyes, BEMYEYES. And that has 2 modalities that are both useful. So Seeing AI, it's a free app. You can download it on the iPhone. Newer Android phones also can download it, but the older ones, you would have to download a similar app. The name of that Android app is called Google Lookout, Lookout. That's all in the handout, so if you pick up the handout, you won't have to write it down. And basically, these apps use the back camera of the phone. You use that camera to look at text, and it will read it to you. There are different modes. One of the modes just instantly reads whatever's in front of the camera, and if you hold still, it works really well for reading a room number when you're walking down a hallway, or sorting your mail if you want to get a fix on the return address or something like that. But you have to hold very still. As soon as you move, it starts over again. So that's not the way you'd want to read a letter from an insurance company or a page of a book or a recipe. For that, we use a document mode. In that case, the phone studies the page you have open, finds the edges, automatically snaps a picture, and after 2 or 3 seconds of processing time, it starts to read. And that's just fantastic. It's called document mode reading, and I use it all the time. Third mode is a handwriting mode. It reads my mother's birthday cards, and she writes in this old-fashioned script that I can't read to save my life, but the phone can figure it out. Also, you know, those microwave displays where the numbers are made up of little sticks that piece together to make an 8 or a 6 or something, those things are hard to read for these phones, but in handwriting mode, you can read them. And the fourth mode that's pretty handy that I'll mention right now is barcode reading. Anytime you're in a store with a code on the product, the same thing that supermarkets used to scan, you can read those in the product reading mode, and that'll tell you what the barcode says. It'll tell you what's in the product. Sometimes it tells you some of the ingredients as well. So 4 reading modes, very handy. There are actually lots of other things that you can do with that app. I won't go into them because for someone who has just central vision loss, they're not quite so handy, but the text reading is fantastic, okay? So let's go on to Be My Eyes. This app started out as a way to connect us to volunteers. There are 6 million volunteers worldwide waiting to help you with your problems. Let's say it's bright outside again. You can't see your phone screen very well. So taking a picture and blowing it up is not really going to help you. Well, you can open the Be My Eyes app. There's a large green button, and I mean large. It's half the screen of the phone. You tap that, and a few seconds later, you're having a conversation with a volunteer who wants to help you out. They can see through the back camera of your phone. If you dropped that little brown ibuprofen pill, you know, the ones that are the size of your pinky fingernail on the brown carpet, like there's no way I could find that. But you can get the volunteer to help you, and they are very nice about it. It's really great to have a human being help you out and be able to say thank you and know that they were there waiting, hoping that someone would ask them for help. So Be My Eyes is just great. You have to check it out. Be My Eyes has come up with a new artificial intelligence feature as well. And if you move your finger along the bottom of the screen, you'll find something that says Be My AI. It's like a cute little way of taking their name and adding the AI to it. So Be My AI allows you to grab a picture and then have the phone describe what's in it. And I took a picture from here, it would tell me it was a room full of people, round tables, blue tablecloths. It would tell me what time it is on the clock over there, all that stuff. And it would tell me if the people were smiling or looking bored, which might be useful to know, okay? So that's great. But it might not tell me where is the pen that I dropped on the floor by accident. But then I would have the opportunity to say, ask more, and I'd say, but I dropped my black pen on the floor, where is it? And the app is smart enough to tell you, oh, it's in front of your right foot, about, just a little in front of your right foot. See, so you can ask for more information, and then the artificial intelligence will fill in more information for you. It's quite good. And the other thing it does very well is it reads text. So if you're in a place where you need to read text, the Be My AI option on the Be My Eyes app, that will also read text for you in the environment. Okay, so that's a lot of information. We're going through this pretty quickly, but I want to assure you that all this stuff is on the handout, and so you'll be able to review it and get the main points again. So, so at this point, I want to switch gears a little bit. Some of you have heard about screen readers. VoiceOver, TalkBack, anyone heard about those? Yes. Yeah. My first impression of VoiceOver was this, it's something I'd better learn to use, and then I tried it, and I turned it off as quick as I could. It was really, my first impression was not great. It talked fast, it said a lot of things I didn't understand, and I got really confused, and then I tried to do things, and the phone stopped working, and so I turned it off. So let's unpack what screen readers do and why they actually are worth a second look. Okay, so a screen reader does something a little different. It tells you what's on the screen, and it allows you to control the phone as well, all without seeing the screen. It's designed for someone who has no vision, but it's also good for situations where you are in a situational blindness, where you can't see the screen because of where you are. And so in that instance, it's really good to be able to not only hear what's on the screen, but control it. And when I mentioned the previous screen speaking app, remember you have to be able to see the screen to put your finger on the thing you want to hear. In this case, you don't have to. So let's just think about how it works differently. In a standard operating mode, if you touch the screen somewhere, the phone brings the focus to that point, and it activates whatever you touched. It opens an app, it pushes a button, it causes something to happen the moment you touch it. If the keyboard's open, it types a letter. And if you don't see very well, that can be frustrating because you just did something that maybe you didn't want to do. Okay, you lost control. So with a screen reader, when you touch the screen, it brings the focus to that point on the screen, and it speaks what's there, and it doesn't do anything else. It waits for you to activate or not activate that thing. And you do that with it's called a double tap, one finger tap tap, anywhere on the screen, because the focus is on that one thing that was just spoken. You can tap tap anywhere on the screen. You don't have to find that thing again. So that gives you control, right? But it's also a little bit slower. So it's a trade-off, like Bob said, it's a trade-off. But we don't go down blind alleys and get lost in things we didn't intend to do and then have to back out of them. So then when you have activated that thing, you have some options. And you can basically use your finger with gentle brush motions, up, down, left, and right. It's called swipes. It's a very gentle motion, like brushing a piece of dust off your sleeve or something like that. A swipe right and a swipe left with your fingertip would move you to the next item or the previous item on the screen. A swipe up or down will move you through menu options of what you can do in that moment. If you're a computer user, you know that the right click on the mouse opens up an option, a menu option of all the things that are relevant to that moment. And so you can use that in the same way. Flick up or down and you can hear all the possible things you might want to do in that situation, and then you can activate the one that you like. Okay, so screen readers work like that. And my philosophy is, for someone who has central vision loss, like me and like many Stargardt's people, I like to use it situationally. I like to use it not all at once, but I find a situation where it's really useful. So a good example would be, I'm outside in the bright light, I can't see my screen, and I need to call a Lyft or an Uber. And before I learned how to use VoiceOver, I would go find a dark place. I'd crouch down behind a bush, almost anything, any dark place so I could see the screen. Now it's a piece of cake. I know I just tell Siri to turn on VoiceOver. Hey Siri, VoiceOver on. There it goes. It's on.
Okay, I've turned VoiceOver on.
Yeah, see, like that. It's that easy. I would go through the motions of ordering my ride, which is something I do frequently. And then I would, before I get in any more trouble, hey Siri, VoiceOver off. And it would turn it off. And that way, I can ease into using this new tool without getting flummoxed. Another situation that's really handy, and I'll wrap up at this point, is when I want to delete emails from my inbox. That's a very tiresome thing. I usually have 20 or 30 emails a day, if not more, that I just want to delete. And it's very tiring for my eyes to do that. But if you turn on VoiceOver when you get to the inbox, it's a quick matter of one swipe in this direction, one swipe in that direction, and a double tap, and the email is gone, and I'm on to the next one. It's very fast and easy. I can do it while I'm sitting in a car, on a train, on a bus, and of course, I don't want the person next to me to hear what I'm doing, so I pull out my little Bluetooth earbuds and stick one in, and it's all a private conversation between me and my phone. And it goes very fast, and when I'm done, I can turn VoiceOver off again. And as you get used to it, you'll learn more and more of the tricks of using it. You'll find more and more situations to use it, and you'll find more and more ways that you can be productive. But that's my take on how to use that particular tool. And with that, I think I'll wrap up. For the hands-on part of the workshop, I will stay around after, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. So just find me out in the lobby, if you will. All right?
Thank you, David.